Are you going through a spiritual awakening and suffering from anxiety? I've been there and I know how hard it can be. But I want to reassure you that it's really common to feel anxious during awakening, even if you've never suffered from anxiety before. In part 1 of this video, I'm going to explain why and when spiritual awakening anxiety occurs. And most importantly, in part 2, I'm going to give you 8 ways to reduce your spiritual awakening anxiety symptoms and ultimately remove it altogether. Hi everyone, I'm Sophia Persephone. I'm a spiritual awakening coach and a channel for the Council of Light. I make videos which demystify the spiritual awakening process and help you on your journey. So let's get straight into part 1. First of all, when are you most likely to suffer from spiritual awakening anxiety in your journey? Well, it most commonly occurs in the early to mid stages of awakening and especially during the connection phase. I'll leave a link to a video which explains the 7 stages of awakening in the description. Dali the cat has joined us. In my coaching practice, I regularly come across clients who are in the connection phase of awakening and they are suffering from really intense anxiety or even paranoia. And every single one has overcome it using the protocols that I'm going to show you in the second half of this video. So good news is it's fixable, and if you watch to the end, you'll know exactly what you need to do. Okay, so now let's talk about why are you suffering from spiritual awakening anxiety? The answer to this lies in the way that the mind works. We have a lower consciousness which is made up of the body and the ego, or the subconscious and unconscious parts of the mind. Then we have the conscious mind, which is the seat of the earthbound soul. And we have the superconscious mind, which is our higher self, and it's situated in the upper dimensions. And during spiritual awakening, the way that our mind works changes completely. There's a gradual consciousness shift from lower consciousness to conscious mind, and then up into superconscious mind, where we can attain higher self modality. And that's actually the whole point of spiritual awakening. Now, before we start the spiritual awakening process, before we're aware, we're actually mostly using our lower consciousness. That's the body and the ego. At that time, they have the most control over what we believe, what we feel, and what we do. However, as we continue into conscious awakening, that power starts to shift. We start to move control from our lower consciousness to our conscious mind. But how does this relate to spiritual awakening anxiety? Well, as the balance of power starts to move from the lower consciousness to the conscious mind and onto the superconscious, the body and the ego start to freak out. Now, it's important to understand that the role of the lower consciousness is to protect the overall system. Your body is focused on physical survival, and your ego gives you essential identity in this 3D environment. So these parts of the mind are trying to keep you safe. It's very disconcerting for them when they start to feel the power move away. They don't yet have the confidence that the new leader, the conscious mind, will protect the system as well as they think they do. When you're in the process of transferring this power from lower consciousness to conscious mind, the body and ego still have an enormous amount of power over your system. To a large degree, they're still directing what you think and what you feel. And because they're anxious, you feel anxious. But this consciousness shift isn't the only reason we might experience spiritual awakening anxiety during the connection phase of awakening. For example, during connection, we start seeing weird patterns. This is because our chakras are fully opened and we're starting to perceive the patterns of the universe. They were always there, but we're noticing them for the first time. It's just the way the universe is designed. There's patterns everywhere. But for some people, suddenly starting to see these can really trigger feelings of extreme anxiety and paranoia, because there seems to be a deeper, more sinister meaning behind things which before seemed quite ordinary. Also, at some point in awakening, we become aware that not everyone is on our side. We have to understand that Earth is a learning environment which we created as souls to make our learning journey more interesting and enjoyable. We turned it into a game. Now, as with many games, there's more than one team, and those teams have competing missions. So if part of your mission is to awaken in this lifetime, guaranteed there are other people whose mission it is to stop you awakening. As we progress through the awakening process, we start to understand this more and more. And in the connection phase, when everything is so intense and heightened, This can again give rise to anxiety and even paranoia. Now, the good news is that later in awakening, we come to understand that it's just a game we all play here on Earth, and in fact, in the higher dimensions, we're all good friends. Another cause of spiritual awakening anxiety is spiritual attack. This is relatively common in early to mid-awakening, and again, it usually comes from people who want to stop us from completing the awakening journey, and it can come from the upper dimensions as well as down here in this 3D environment. We're more vulnerable at this time because we haven't taken full conscious control of our system. And these sort of attacks can easily manifest as spiritual awakening anxiety. We have a deep sense of unease without really knowing why. But actually, spiritual attack is pretty easy to deflect. And I have a video about exactly this, which I'll link you to in the description. Okay, we'll move on to part 2 in just a moment, but if this video has been helpful to you, please hit the like button so it can reach more people. Thank you. Okay, part 2, how to stop spiritual awakening anxiety, the really important bit. I'm going to give you 8 spiritual protocols. Some of them you can use to relieve the immediate symptoms of spiritual awakening anxiety, and others will accelerate the consciousness shift, which automatically means that your anxiety will stop. Protocol 1 is grounding. This is a great way to calm the body. If you haven't already tried grounding, this should be your go-to tool when you're feeling those symptoms of spiritual awakening anxiety, because it puts your consciousness fully in the body. And this gives your lower consciousness the reassurance that you're not going to go pinging off into the stratosphere, which is exactly the thing it's trying to protect you against. There's lots of guided meditations for grounding on YouTube. I'll link you to one in the description. But you can also take a long hot shower, eat some warm, nourishing food, or drink a cup of sweet tea. These are all grounding activities. Protocol number 2 is breath work. Now, because anxiety causes us to breathe in a very shallow, quick way, putting aside time to breathe consciously, slowly, and deeply signals to the body that there's nothing to be frightened of. I'm going to link you to one of Wim Hof's videos in the description. He is the leading pioneer in the breathwork field working today on this planet. You can learn everything you need to learn from him. Protocol number 3 is to use affirmations and visualizations. These are your primary tool of manifestation. And if you think about it, what you're trying to do here is to manifest. You're trying to manifest a calm state of mind. All you need to do is visualize yourself encased in an impenetrable sphere of crystal and use the affirmation, I am protected and completely safe from harm. Repeat it 3 times or keep going until you feel the symptoms subside. By doing this, you're reprogramming the subconscious mind, the body, and teaching it to believe that there's nothing to worry about. Protocol number 4, talk to your lower consciousness. Yes, I know it sounds a bit unusual, but it's important to understand that your mind is made up of these different entities which are connected but autonomous. You're roommates in the same body, so to a degree, it's a negotiation. You need to persuade your body and your ego that everything is fine and all will be well. Set aside 5 minutes to literally just talk to them. And talk to them the same way you would to a child or to an animal that's frightened and needs comfort and reassurance. Tell them that everything's going to be all right, you're going to protect the system, and no harm is going to come to them. You'll be surprised how quickly this can stop spiritual awakening anxiety. Protocol number 5, meditate daily. This is so important, and it's one of the first questions I ever ask my clients. Do you meditate? Meditation strengthens the conscious mind and it subdues the lower consciousness and eventually allows this shift into higher self modality. Now, you can use guided meditations, but really it's better to train your conscious mind to do this stuff on its own. And also that way you can do it anytime, anywhere when you need it. For early to mid-awakening, I recommend third eye meditation, and I'm going to link you to a video in the description which will show you exactly how to do that by yourself at home. Protocol number 6 for removing spiritual awakening anxiety is to spend time in nature. When we're in nature, there's an energy exchange which takes place. The natural world absorbs negative energy and it imparts positive energy. It's a kind of photosynthesis. So yes, hugging trees really is good for you. It's the same with animals. They also absorb negative energy. So if you have pets, spend time with them, give them a cuddle and some fuss. Protocol number 7, spend time creating. Creation is a form of meditation. You know that feeling you get of getting into flow, where you're in trance. Painting, drawing, knitting, pottery, making music, anything you can think of really. All of these activities enable that consciousness shift. And you'll find they have a hugely beneficial effect on your well-being and state of mind. And there's a reason why art is used as therapy. Finally, protocol number 8, prioritize your happiness. Higher evolved souls who are due to awaken in this lifetime intuitively understand that we're here to help. But unfortunately, that can mean that we put everyone else's needs ahead of our own. And because the human race at large hasn't caught up with this idea that we're all here to help one another, we can easily end up giving a lot more than we get back. So we have to be very mindful of boundaries and of not giving more than we can afford, because it's very easy for us to get drained of energy. And we can also end up doing a lot of things which make us unhappy. All of this will compound our anxiety. So never feel guilty about prioritizing your own needs and happiness. Spend time on self-care and give yourself some breathing space. And you can learn more about the spiritual awakening process and what's happening to the mind in this playlist.